Pleasant morning to all Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique, wherever you are, and the wider region, the diaspora. This is a special program looking at the government's performance 2 years in office. Today is the second anniversary since the newly led cabinet under the stewardship of the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell took office after the elections in February 19, 2013. And today we will be looking back at a number of the issues, the government's performance, look in total as it relates to a newly led administration taking office after the 2013 general elections. We have with us this morning a special guest, well, put it this way, special guest, and it's the only person who can relate exactly what has been happening with the government over the past 2 years. You have been hearing him from time to time, and this morning we bring you live the Prime Minister of Grenada, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell. 2 years in office, the cabinet was sworn in, second anniversary today, and you have led the charge all the way. First, I would ask you, how is the job?
First of all, let me just say good morning to all our listeners to the length of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique, and of course our diaspora friends, wherever they are. I want to qualify the last 2 years as extremely challenging, but rewarding in terms of what we see occurring at this particular time and the prospects for further development in the country. In other words, we accepted the fact that, as I mentioned before, that the situation we met in the country was very serious indeed in terms of the fiscal problems that the country faced. The fact that you were selling assets to pay salaries. People sometimes want to forget that your public servants had not received any increase in 4.5 years, and that you had serious unemployment problems, over 40-something% unemployment in the country, and the state of play of the young people was rather serious. So we met a very difficult situation. We were not paying anybody outside. We owed almost all institutions. I have just come in from a heads of government meeting in the CARICOM region and in the Bahamas. And I mean, every data that's presented about Grenada's payment schedule in the 2008 to 2013 was terrible indeed. So we met a very difficult situation, but we accepted the fact that we asked for the job and that we had to get down and not just moan about the problems, but get down to solving it. And therefore, we have, having gone to involve ourselves with the homegrown program and challenge our people to join with us in making the necessary sacrifice, which was clearly not easy to do because people are already under serious stress in every sense of the word. But I must say that because of our ability, people together, and people willing to come and recognize the country's first, not political organization ahead of the country, I think we can safely say, as I said, challenging when we got there, but rewarding in terms of where we are today and the prospect for further development.
And looking at the installation of your cabinet 2 years ago, and seeing that you were in government for quite a number of years prior to getting into opposition, you see your time now being a more busy time than when you were there before. How do you compare it and your cabinet, working with your cabinet now?
Well, I think we had to recognize the fact that we had a nice mix of experienced heads in the government team. People who were there for me 10 years or more in the governmental structure. And some new persons who came in to run for the first time and became ministers of government. So I had to provide that sort of support system that can bring the team together at the same time to make sure that the more senior members help the junior members just coming in terms of understanding how government works. And I know what it was when I came in as a new Minister of Government, how difficult and how mesmerizing it was to see how government operated. Nothing behaves like government in a general sense. So I think having been able to bring that mix of persons together and working with the team over the years, in the last 2 years, I must say that's another area of major happiness for me, in the sense that I can see growth in many of the members. I can see that it's almost like a family operating. It's the first time I've been in, Selvin, in government for literally, well, in the parliament for 30 years and in government for most of the period of time. And I think this is the best time, I think, in terms of watching government operate at a cabinet level, in terms of the spirit of cooperation. There are differences, clearly. There are, in fact, tough moments, but I think people, generally speaking, are willing to listen to each other, work with each other, understanding each other's weaknesses and strengths. And I think that is, to me, where we are today. The country can feel very proud that this is a team of men and women who are dedicated to building the country and uniting and putting the personal interests second or third or fourth, but the interests of the country first. So in terms of the team, I would say we've come a long way.
You getting 15 seats. This is the second time after a general elections. You got 15 seats in 1999, and probably at that time there was a message. You got 15 seats on February 19, 2013, and you would probably get another message, because we're looking at two different eras.
Yes.
What is the message? And I remember you talking about unity and bringing people together. You see that working out well for you?
I agree with. I think you're right. There was two different periods: the 99 15 seats and the 2013 15 seats. They're two different periods. When we came in 99, when we were already in government, and there was serious economic activity taking place, we had growth rate of over 5-6%. So when we came in 2013, there was a complete opposite. That growth was negative. And of course, I mentioned unemployment and the business sector lacking confidence. There were a range of problems that existed in 2013 that did not exist in 1999. And therefore, when I went to Tantine, I've always remember, I could never forget that event. The night of the election, when we recognized that we had been given an absolute mandate by the people of the country. As I looked down on the audience and I saw I've never seen a larger crowd in Grenada. And the people of expectant faces, particularly those who were close up to the stage, they were all young people. Teenagers and people who had a serious range of expectation. And I looked at them and I said, look, we have a task at our hand. Because these young people, voted for something. They expect to see some opportunity. They were in serious state in their own lives, and therefore they wanted to feel a sense of hope. So I recognize the challenge was enormous. And that is why people did not realize it was very spontaneous. When I call on some of my chief protagonists in the trade union movement and in the first period of government, and I said to them and other people, I can't do it by myself. The team that was elected cannot do it by themselves. So we need your help. And we call on them to join with us. And not to join with our political party, join with the human resources factor, and let's build our country. Let's make sure that we create a better life for those young people who are standing outside, looking to us for opportunity and for hope. And I think that call to me was I would almost have to say it was sort of divine intervention, because it wasn't planned. And I would think that has a lot to do with some of what transpired afterwards. While in many cases people have maintained their partisan political position, I think there's the bitterness and the personal animosity among various sectors in the society with the political establishment. I think that have been reduced considerably so. So while people maintain, most likely in some cases, maintain the partisan position, there is a genuine willingness to let's unite our forces and let's build our country. Our children and grandchildren requires no less. So in that sense, I think we have come a long way. When people say to me, Selwyn, that it appears that I have changed in the sense that they see me slightly in terms of my approach to problems and to criticism, I say to them, the atmosphere is quite different. It's the same person, but I was under more pressure and stress in the first period of my governance of the country. So my responses, and clearly I would say I'm more mature now. So I'm in a better hand to handle it emotionally and otherwise. And at the same time, receiving the genuine support in terms of the help to build the country was also clearly different.
Which period you would say has kept you more busy?
I would say I would be busier in the first period, because don't I tell you, the extent of your being occupied has a lot to do with not just physical, it's also emotional. And if your line's resting and you're thinking of problems and you are concentrating on a job, there's no real period of rest, especially when you're under serious attacks from your political opponent and others in the society. This period, I would say, I might be busy physically, but not as occupied mentally or emotionally in terms of thinking about problems. Because for one, I think I have more support in the cabinet team. Two, I think there's a better understanding of the society for what we have to do together. So I don't feel that level of stress. I mean, I hear criticism, and in one thing people know about me, I do not have a problem with people having different views than I do. And therefore, in some cases, I enjoy it to hear people see things different than I see it, because it challenges me to look at what they're saying and to look at possibility of improving on some of the things I'm doing. So that's why I like people around me who don't tell me what they want me to hear. And there's that element in the public sector. People come to you and they have a feeling that you want a particular solution, so they tell you. And when things go wrong, they're the first to blame you behind the back. But I like people around me who are not afraid to say, Prime Minister, I hear you, but this is how I see it. It's your call, but these are the solutions and the different approaches I see. I love that, and I'm getting a lot of that now. More so in the public service now than I've ever gotten. And that to me has my thinking process and has helped me to make better decisions in government.
You have had to move the economics of this country. You said that when you got into office, it was a dire situation,
yes,
moving from zero negative growth.
Yes.
And you are now focusing on growing the economy. What is the status with the economic activity, fiscal situation as it is now? Over the past 2 years, what has been done? How did we get around?
Well, I think that the first thing is that we had to recognize the problem. We had to analyze what we met in a very serious way and saw and decided what is necessary to correct it. So we had to do something about the fiscal problem in the country. We had to ensure that we can balance our books, so to speak. We can provide the necessary savings in terms of the budgetary process so that we can build on the capital stocks in the country. So at this point in time, I came into government in 2013. You remember for the 4 years before that, were all negative growth. And so 2013, there was the Sandal project on late 2012, 2013. And 2013, we had growth of 3.1%. So that's the first time in several years that we had growth. What is interesting, in 2014, we did not have a Sandal project. We did not have a massive project as Sandals, but yet we had a growth rate of almost 3%, which is a clear indication that you have a multiple level of activities in the country, so that different sectors of the country were growing in a very serious way, and which is providing jobs and opportunities at all levels and throughout the length and breadth of the country. And again in 2015, we're seeing the same pattern. even from the first quarter, we've seen there is that whole data outside there which shows that there are little activities all over the country. Major activities soon to come. I expect to see further growth and development and more job creation. Fiscally, we have been able to cut down the debt, the unpaid claims in the Treasury from about 115 million or more, because the estimates where there's some cases were projected over 115, 120, to almost $66 million. So it means that a lot of persons were owed serious debt by the country and now being paid. So therefore there are more disposable income in the country, and businesses can now, that provide services to the government, can now have the cash to invest more and to create more opportunity and to expand. So we are seeing this. We have been able to cut the deficit in the central government activities, which was $18 million down to $9 million a month. We have been able to get glowing support recommendation from the international community and the regional financial communities, to the point that I was just from the heads of government, and while I was there on the Friday evening, this last Friday, a number of people were meeting me and saying congratulations, and I didn't understand what they were talking about. I thought maybe I was dressed in a dapper way or something, so I was wondering. Then I met the president of the Caribbean Development Bank, and he said to me, congratulations, Prime Minister. I said, what do you congratulate me for now? And he said, Ben, the IMF report is so strong. I have not seen a strong report like this and since I've been involved at this level. And that's the president of the Caribbean Development Bank. And so many other people have been complimenting us, because the international institution have seen Grenada as a model for what they believe countries that are experiencing, small countries, small economies, that have been experiencing serious deficit problem. How can they move to correct it and set for sustained economic development as a whole, and to provide hope to the country as a whole, in a general sense. So I think all this, all the parameters, all the measures, all the variables have shown that we are heading in the right direction. Now, we have not crossed the path of problems. We still have a lot of problems. In other words, if we go back to our old ways and not stay the course, we can in fact go back negatively. That's why the program we have now is being measured and assessed on a regular basis.
So the homegrown
So you
program.
have to stay the course. Otherwise, you may find if you don't do this, that next year or later next year, when there is another review, you might get a completely different report. So I think Grenadians, all of us, our people and our leadership, our team in government, and all members of our society, different sectors, must continue to work together to ensure that our children and grandchildren future will be much more secure than it has been before 2013.
So you would say sacrifice is called for, especially under the homegrown program, paying off well.
Oh yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And we'd made the point to our members of our unions and our business community. We know we're asking you to make a lot of sacrifice. We know the workforce is in a lot of stress. But if we don't do it, then the situation would worsen, not improved. And I'm very happy to report that they are now seeing the benefits. We told them if the 100 million or so we'll expect to get every year, by having a monitoring team of representatives from all the key stakeholders in the country, we'll be able to use some of the help in the program and the benefits we're getting to improve the lot of the people. And that has been the case in a general sense. So I think, all in all, I think we're in a good position to continue the upward mobility economically and otherwise. And I think one of the key factors in our favor right now, which I did not mention before, is the question of confidence. Like so in everything you do in life, no matter where you are, how things are with you, if you do not have confidence and hope, you're in trouble. So even when things are not at this optimum the way you want it, but if you see down the road the daylight will be there, you are going to continue to push forward. It's when you lose a sense of hope. And it is clear before February 2013, there was indeed a high level of hopelessness in the country, so that the business persons were not investing. They were all holding whatever cash they had. There were little initiative taken in any sector in the society to improve the lot of the country as a whole. But you can see what's happening today. Many of the hoteliers who were sending home staff have rehired those staff and had additional staff. There are expansion at local hotel owners and now expanding the facilities so that there are more jobs are created and more opportunities are created for Grenadians as a whole. You could see the upbeatness in the agricultural sector, with the marketing board doing its share, and of course the Ministry of Agriculture working to correct some of the fundamental problems. So I think we, all in all, as I said, we are not out of the woods yet, but I think there is clearly a very good atmosphere for opportunities in the future. And the prospects for growth is even brighter than we had it even last year, because we know of a number of major activities that will soon be on stream.
Let's talk something about the unemployment situation, and people out there looking for jobs, want to ensure that there's something that they can go by, at least on a daily basis. What is the issue now with employment? I know that at one time you had looked towards ensuring youth and education coming up in the process. What is the situation?
As it must be recalled that when we came into government, the unemployment statistics showed over 40%. Those who are in government then don't want to admit it, but that's the state. And you didn't have to hear the statisticians speak. You just walk around the country and you heard the pain and the cries of the people. In 1 year, we brought it down to 32.5%. Another year, it's now 29.5%. And it's continued to go down. And you can see the rationale why it's going down. So that is working. But a number of initiatives are taking place. For example, the commercialization of government estates will lead further development in the agricultural sector, and of course further employment opportunities in the country as a whole. In the area of the projects, you've seen, as I'm for in the tourism sector, we're seeing a number of hotels expanding, and we see additional hotel facilities coming. With the CBI program, there are a number of other major activities. Before the year ends, there will be a number of hotel projects, in addition to the Silver Sands project and the Rivera project, which is already ongoing. There is this major project in True Blue, which is one of the projects that will come because of the casino activities that we have in fact now signed on to. That you're talking at least 300-room hotel. 300-room hotel would employ at least 2 by 300, at least 600 plus persons, and that's just direct jobs we're talking about. There are many other facilities within Carriacou, in Grenada here, that smaller facilities that will be under construction. Cinnamon Hill is expansion, will be starting sometime this year, more villas, and you expect another 200 jobs creation in that area. Port Louis expansion is another one under the CBI program. That's also on. There are a number of other activities. In other words, more jobs and more jobs. But we have to train our people appropriately. So that's why the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Youth Development and so on must work together. All the various different divisions of government must work together, because in no point we having those jobs coming on stream and you don't have the qualified people. So we have to train our people to meet some of those fundamental problems that we, fundamental opportunities that will come our way. So there are going to be, I'm very, very confident of what the prospects for employment. I am not clearly happy with the present situation, that there's still a lot of young people outside who have no job, who are not feeling a sense of hope at this particular time.
You're very passionate about youth and education. Education in particular in the 2015 budget has gotten a big slice of the pie, and I noticed that there are a lot of moves being made in that direction. What is the correlation and the philosophy behind it?
Well, Basically, I always look back where I came from. Those people that know me well know I came from a little village. I was born in a little village, it's almost a stone village called Brazan, where very few decent houses were available at the time. And with that, having been born in that level of poverty, I know that unless I had a successful education, that I would not be sitting here talking to you at this time. So time I see a young man or young girl come to me, whether themselves, by themselves, or with their parents, or with their parents coming to me, and asking for government help to get a serious education, I feel a sense of responsibility. And in some cases, when the government is not able to do it, I have had to ask friends of mine in the business community, friends of mine abroad, who I know would have their opportunity and ability to help. And they have in many cases. A lot of people don't know this, but there are a number of students, I don't call name because I don't want anybody feel that they owe me anything, who I have helped to go abroad to study using my own initiative and resources, and friends of mine and family members of mine who have now been successful professionals because of the initiative and the help that I have given them. And therefore, I feel that this is the way to solve our problems: education, education. And that's why the emphasis on the technology and empowering people in ICT and the whole technological development, because that is going to be the great equalizer. If we train our people appropriately, whether it's in tourism, we have to use the technology. And the more we use it, there's the more opportunities that will evolve for the young people of our country. If we're talking agriculture and success there, if we cannot continue to do agriculture like we did in 50 years ago and 40 years ago, we have to use technology there. And as the technology is used and agriculture becomes more profitable and becomes more of a business, you will see the young people getting involved. And that is where the jobs are going to be created. Similarly, in the manufacturing sector, whether it's using our local products and producing some extra value-added product, that's again, technology is going to be important. Whether it's in the area of healthcare, for example, where we can empower or improve our healthcare system using the technology and using tourism as a component correlation with healthcare system, and creating Grenada as a health tourism facility countries. All these lead to a lot of possibilities and jobs for the young people of our country. So whether it's tourism, agriculture, healthcare, whatever area, there are serious possibilities if we can empower our young people and give them the tool, education and otherwise. And I don't mean education just mean getting a degree. Train them, more emphasis today, in this day and age, training people for the job market. So whether it's a technical education, training someone to be a very good plumber, a very good practical electrician, training people to service several sectors of the society on the ground. These are all a good painter. These are areas that we have to empower people and give them opportunity. And I think with that multiplicity of opportunities that will be coming, I think you will see we may be able to talk on a full employment not long from now. I am very confident that we will be seeing enormous opportunity for young people in the country as a whole.
We're speaking with the Prime Minister, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, looking back at the 2 years since regaining office in February 19, 2013. As a matter of fact, today, the second anniversary of the new cabinet being sworn into office. We will take a break and we will be right back. Welcome back. Welcome back to this special program. And again, we have in our midst